Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Thursday, the 6th of February. I'm CJ Baumgartner, Corey Tackman over there. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, a game to preview, a special presentation broadcast to preview, or at least mention to you that we are really, really excited to talk about. And National Signing Day is come and gone, and the things with that. The Twins finally signed a free agent. We got a lot to talk about on the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Corey, let's start things off. You have a basketball game tonight. Tell us the deets, spill the tea, whatever thing kids are saying.
Kind of a unique one on the schedule tonight, and a unique one for high school sports in general, a rare non-conference, non-section opponent boys basketball game. Staples-Motley Cardinals boys buckets will host the Osakis Silver Streaks tonight at the Nest. I'll be there this evening for a 7:15 pregame and a 7:30 tip time on AM1430 98.5 FM The Fan. Looking forward to it. Staples-Motley Cardinals 10-7 overall. CJ, they are 5-5 in Heart of Lakes Conference play. They're 1-2 in Section 7 AA play. And the Staples-Motley Cardinals are winners of one in a row, beating Frazee on Tuesday night, 67-54. The Cardinals are right smack dab in the middle of that 9-team Heart of Lakes Conference, with 4 teams in front of them and 4 teams behind them. When you look at the 7 AA standings as of right now, Staples-Motley Cardinals are 5th in those 7 AA standings. And again, we're talking about a schedule, CJ, that is down to our final quarter of the season, final third of the season, somewhere right in there, which is pretty darn cool. The Osaka Silver Streaks are out of the Prairie Conference. They're 10-5 overall. They're 6-0 in Prairie Conference play. They actually are tops in the Prairie Conference. They represent Section 6 AA and are 1-4 in those section matchups this year. Tops in the Prairie Conference are the Silver Streaks, losers of 1 in a row. And when you look at the 6 AA standings, they find themselves in the bottom half of that 6 AA section. If you care about QRF and how it matters, Staples-Motley Cardinals QRF rating is 70.0, and the Osaka Silver Streaks have a QRF value of 69.3. When you add that all up, you suspect a pretty darn nice boys basketball game at the Nest tonight. Staples-Motley Cardinals, Osaka Silver Streaks, 7:15 pregame, 7:30 tip on AM 1430 and 98.5 FM. The Fan tonight.
The Fan. And rematch of that Section 6 AA football final from the Fargo Dome.
There you go. There it is.
There you go. Staples-Motley looking to hold some supremacy in both sports. So that would be that'd be something that I'm sure they'd like to do. I'm sure that nobody remembers that game at all. Do they?
I think everyone probably remembers.
All right, cool. Check that out on The Fan. Find out our full broadcast schedule online at wadenaradio.com. We still have one more game this week that's coming up tomorrow. We'll mention that, of course, on tomorrow's episode of MSD. Moving things along, Corey, we have a special announcement. Speaking of broadcast schedules, speaking of basketball coverage, this is just something that we've been planning for a little bit here, and I know you've been a strong advocate of trying to get this thing across the finish line and make this thing happen. Corey, we're doing something not only for the first time ever on our end, but for the first time like ever. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we literally just found out about this little piece of news. We are the first radio station ever to cover the Special Olympics Unified Basketball State Tournament. It is next week, Tuesday, February 11th at the Target Center. Menahga Unified Basketball will be playing there for the 3rd year in a row, and we're going to go down this year to cover their matches, their games at the Target Center. They play at 1:30 And then win or lose, they'll play a second game again, either at, 1:30, 2:40, at 3:50 would be their second game, or 5:00, depending on if they play in the third place game or in the championship game. And we're just really thrilled to have this opportunity to be able to go and do this and highlight some kids on the other. I mean, that's the point of what we're trying to do, right? With all of our high school athletics, is an opportunity to highlight these kids and highlight these schools and highlight their efforts. And this is going to be a really neat opportunity for us to be a part of this. Like we said, not only the first time for us to be able to go cover this event, the Special Olympics reached back out to us, and well, you reached out to them just to inquire about a few things, and in their response back, they said, no one's ever covered this before, so we're going to be there. We're going to be the first people ever to go cover this, and man, am I thrilled to be a part of that. It's going to be a pretty. It's going to be cool, man. I can't wait. So they play at 1:30 and again at 3:50 or 5:00 Tuesday, the 11th. Full details, by the way, are at WadenaRadio.com. While you're there, you can see the details of the state tournament, information from Coach Hahn, roster information, all that good stuff available at WadenaRadio.com. Target Center next week. It'll be broadcast on 105.9 FM, the Superstation K106, on the Superstation K106 app, and WadenaRadio.com. This is a big dang deal, and I'm thrilled.
It's a big dang darn deal, Corey. And not only that, I think we can tease this. We maybe have a little something in the works, talking with some of the coaches and players on that team that we are excited to do. That'll come up before our broadcast at some point on Morning Sports Desk. So be on the lookout for that. Menahga Unified Basketball. We got some more stuff. We're not just going to go and do the game. We are, going to get a little interviews and get a little insight beforehand as we try and talk a little bit more about this and really hype this up. Because like you said, Corey, third year in a row, getting to go down there. They get to go play in the Target Center, which is just really, really cool. And it's also really cool, like you said, going to WadenaRadio.com. You can find all of the information, and you can find the schedule on here, just a little drop-down menu. And then you can also have the team roster, which is really awesome as well. So you can get to know some of these kids. If you're not familiar with the team, you can get to know them before the broadcast. Then by the time we get going, you're like, oh yeah, I know that kid, or I've read a little bit about that kid. That's really cool. And that's really what we want to do, is highlight this awesome achievement. So it's really fun. We are looking forward to it. The first ever radio broadcast of the Unified Basketball State Tournament is going to happen, and we can't be more thrilled to make history like this.
The first ever, forever, not just for us.
Like from the Sandlot, ever
in the state.
Uh-huh.
Screw you, WCCO.
Take that. I mean, it's just really cool. This kind of, we've talked about it. Maybe could we do it? Could we not? We finally kind of just said, well, let's see if this thing is possible to do. And they said, yes, of course. We would love for you to come down there and cover this thing. When we reached out to Special Olympics Minnesota, they were like, of course, please come down and check this out. And of course, Menahga Unified Basketball is really excited to have us getting to know them a little bit and talk with them. So we're just really excited to get to cover this opportunity, and we'll have more information as the day gets closer. Corey, one more time, when is that going to be?
Tuesday, February 11th.
That's this coming Tuesday.
First game starts at 1:30. Our coverage is probably going to start close to 1:00 on Tuesday on 105.9 FM, the Superstation K106, the Superstation K106 app, and WadenaRadio.com. First game at 1:30. Second game either just before 4 or at 5:00.
All right. So, by the way, let me find this picture while we're on this topic here. I know we were talking with Zeke last night in a group text that we all have together, and Jared Ribedo, he's the sports editor at the Bemidji Pioneer, formerly of the Detroit Lakes, a paper, and also Alexandria. And He was at that a unified game yesterday in Bemidji. And I mean, I want to pull this thing up here. How can I get this up? Here we go. Look at this. This was the scene at the Bemidji High School gym last night for the unified game that they had. Hundreds, he said, if not a couple thousand people came out to support the unified sports. It was snowing. It was a blizzard up there in Bemidji last night. Everybody came out to support them. And look at that. That is a full high school gym in Bemidji supporting all those kids.
Very neat.
Very, very cool.
And Menahga, Bemidji play each other in the first round of the state tournament?
They do.
So a little preview matchup of a state tournament semifinal.
Yeah, it's awesome. This is super cool. I'm very excited to get this thing rolling. So that's great. Also, another cool thing to announce yesterday, Corey, was a National Signing Day.
Mm-hmm.
And what National Signing Days for football? Just basically the day where you have to sign your letter of intent. National Signing Day. That's when you can make verbal commitments all you want. Hey, I've committed to this school, I've committed to that school, but until pen hits the paper, it's not officially official yet. And schools can't quite acknowledge that a player has signed yet. Now they can. And we have a few names from across central Minnesota that we want to read off here that are going to some schools here. So when you look, again, this is all in football. The University of North Dakota, the Fightin' Hawks, as they call them, and as a Bemidji State alum, I just can't bring myself to say their name. Dean Lemke, defensive lineman, 6'3", 210 pounds from Alexandria, going to go play for them. Bemidji State, my BSU Beavers, roll Beavs, baby, let's go. We have Grant Winkle, an offensive lineman from Osakis. Ryan Carroll, a defensive end from Park Rapids. Jonah Tell, a long snapper from Sauk Rapids, Rice. And Eli Clemick, a linebacker from Nevis. Hudson Amoki, a wide receiver from Sauk Rapids, Rice. And Gavin Olschlager, the tight end from Walker, going to make that little short trek out up to Bemidji from there, from Walker, Hackensack, Akeley, and going to play there at Bemidji State. For Jamestown, moving up to D2 next year, Corey. Looking here, we have Jarek Schogel, wide receiver from Sauk Center. Mayville State, Gage Hatch, Detroit Lakes. Justin Kingbird, offensive lineman of Cass Lake. Owen Zegan, a tight end of Bertha. Hewitt, gonna go play for them. Valley City State, Hayden Crow, a linebacker from Detroit Lakes. Those are kind of the names that we've amassed so far. Obviously, there's some more out there. And obviously, Corey, Sports Cow on Facebook is the place to go to find all of the information on this stuff and to see some of the Facebook posts and pictures of those kids getting their big moments. So can we get a moo?
Sharing as much as we can on the Sports Cow. Follow along on the Sports Cow. Like and share and follow and hashtag moo.
Moo. So there you go. That's all of our local sports stuff we have for today, I believe. We need to talk about something with the Minnesota Twins and a free agent signing that they made 2 days in a row, Corey. We talk about Twins free agent signings. This is like Christmas morning or something like that. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, we do need to talk about the great sponsors of this great program, which would be the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Corey, there's a lot of fun stuff going on. In fact, I heard you were there yesterday.
Yeah, we had a birthday party to go to yesterday in our house. So we, the newly minted 7-year-old in our house decided, you know what, we got to go to the Pizza Ranch and the FunZone Arcade. And he was like, I got to have some of that chicken and I got to play the games in the arcade. And we're like, you know what, buddy? That sounds like an awesome idea. Let's go do that. And while I was there, first things first, we walked in and they've done some remodeling in the Pizza Ranch. There's some new seating. I know you were there was it a week ago?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've seen this too, but there's some extra seating. There's new seating in there. Also working on, Zach told me it's 99% complete. The FunZone banquet room or party room, excuse me. So the opportunity to go experience all that is the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade for your for your party. And it is just the room is ready. I think just hanging up some prizes and things like that, some final decorative touches going into that party room. Also, I found out it was handed to me. We've heard of the ranch rewards, right? We talked about the ranch rewards yesterday. Wednesday is your day to earn double points when you go to the Pizza Ranch. But they also have FunZone rewards. Okay, so you can sign up for your FunZone rewards and earn points and earn tickets and earn towards with your play in the FunZone arcade, things towards new prizes. Check this out, CJ. Earn 1,000 free FunZone tickets when you play, buy, or reload 3 times by April 30th. Obviously, some stipulations apply. You can only, it's got to be, I think, a 24 or 12-hour time frame in reloading your cards. So you can't go in the morning, then again in the evening, and reload twice that way. But you could in 3 short days get loaded up and earn 1,000 free FunZone tickets. So not only do you need to sign up for Ranch Rewards, you need to sign up for FunZone Rewards. The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, presenting again today the Morning Sports Desk.
I mean, just great all around. Speaking of things that are moving up in the direction of the Minnesota Twins, Corey, we talked yesterday about the Twins signing Danny Colomb to a 1-year deal, about $3.5 million to help kind of the Twins add some depth to that bullpen. And the Twins decided one free agent signing for a major league contract was not going to be enough. They decided to do a second one. Not a huge needle mover, but I think could be a sneaky important signing. According to John Heyman of the New York Post sports section, he put up yesterday that the Twins were signing outfielder Harrison Bader to a 2-year contract where the second year is a mutual option. So basically a 1-year contract. And it's worth about $6.25 million and could be up to $8.25 million if he reaches certain bonuses, incentives, whatever. The point is $6.25 million for 1 year. The Twins have Harrison Bader. Now, Corey, I know this is probably going to be your very next question. Who the heck is Harrison Bader?
Well, I wasn't going to say it quite as drastically as that, because Harrison Bader is a name I've heard, but I don't know why that's important. So why don't you please fill me in on the blanks of who Harrison Bader is, and tell me, is he the second coming of Michael A. Taylor, or is he
the second coming of Manuel Margot?
Correct.
Well, the good news is I was writing an article yesterday about this for Zone Coverage MN. I believe that piece is up this morning, so you can go read it there. But I was kind of trying to answer that question myself, because on the high end, he is, Michael A. Taylor. He's a high-end backup center fielder where if/when/probably when Buxton misses 1 to 2 months of the season, you have a guy who can reliably play center field defensively. Defensively, he's got an arm that's good. Like if you look at the metrics and StatCast and how they do that, he's got good arm. He's got a good range. He's one of the highest profiling defensive center fielders in baseball. He's a Gold Glove winner in 2021. Offensively, he had a very rough second half for the New York Mets. He was okay last year in the first half, but a little banged up, little whatever. He ended up playing like 140 some games last year for New York, but wasn't super healthy in the second half of the year, I think. But ultimately, if you look at what he can establish, he's coming in to fill that Michael A. Taylor role of he can be a backup center fielder to play in place of Byron Buxton, but also it's, hey, what does Rocco Baldelli love to do in the 7th inning of a game when the right-handed starter goes out and the team brings in a left-handed reliever? He loves to bring in a righty off the bench to try and counteract that matchup. Well, now Harrison Bader's a guy you can bring in off the bench to try and do that. The one thing I'll say to that is last year, Harrison Bader against lefties wasn't
isn't he left-handed? I thought
right-handed hitter.
He's a right-handed hitter. Oh, he's a weirdo, huh?
Yes. Yeah, he's a right-handed hitter. So he's going to come in against lefties theoretically. The one thing I will say to that is that, he last year against lefties, or I should say in his career against lefties, he has a 7.76 OPS, which is around league average, but of course is better than a left-handed hitter would be against lefties. In 2022 or 2023, excuse me, he had a 936 OPS, which is very, very good. Last year, he had a 681 OPS against right-handed pitching and a 612 OPS against lefties. So actually had reverse splits. But last year was kind of weird. But I think if he kind of can hover around that career average for OPS, which is on base plus slugging percentage, league average is around 750. You can be a 700, 750 player. That's around average for OPS. If you can get it to 800, 900, that's very good. Over 1,000 is like your Bryce Harper or something like that. That kind of hitter. So that's the thing. Now, if we're looking at it from the Michael A. Taylor bar, Michael A. Taylor had a career year with the Twins. He had 20 home runs, was very good, started over 100 games in center field for the Twins, was just a very easy every single day when he's in the lineup, he's batting ninth. And that probably would be what Bader would be too. He's just a classic, 9-hitter veteran. This is the other thing too. Bader is about an 8-year veteran. He's age 30 coming into spring training. If you look at where Margot provided offensively, Margot was he had one good month in June, and the rest of the time was a 680 OPS guy. Mm-hmm. His defense wasn't great. He stole a few bases, but wasn't an ideal base runner. Harrison Bader, on the other hand, he stole 17 bases last year, and the Twins have the lowest amount of stolen bases in baseball by a gap since Rocco Baldelli became manager. And I think you can unleash a little bit more of Bader with him as a base stealer in that aspect. Now, his speed has gone down from the last couple of years. Obviously, he's getting closer to 30, leaving that athletic peak. He had the biggest drop-off in sprint speed in his career last year, but he still was able to steal 17 bases. He just got thrown out more than he did in any year of his career. But once you kind of figure out, this is the thing, once your high juice speed leaves you, because he was not Byron Buxton level, but the second tier below in terms of speed when he was at his peak. Even if you can still drop off, because Taylor was that same way too, you're not blazing, but if you find the right way to get a read and to get the extra jump, and you already have a good base of speed, that can help out. So I think once Bader learns how to kind of adjust for not just having burners, he can be a nice base stealer for this team, a nice late inning replacement, pinch runner kind of deal. And I think that's kind of what you're looking at here. The one question will be, is he just kind of a high-end backup center fielder, or will he play the corner spots defensively? Can he, if it's a lefty on the mound, will Trevor Larnach and Matt Wallner get the day off, and Willie Castro starting in left field, and then you have Harrison Bader in right field, and that would be our ideal way to counteract the lefty starting pitcher. The one thing is he hasn't played a corner outfield spot since 2018, 2019, very, very early on in his career. He basically has been a center fielder pretty much since he's been in the big league. So how does that transition look like? Does he want to do that transition? Will kind of be the other interesting thing to factor into all of this. But I think overall, it's a nice signing for the Twins. I think he is closer to Michael A. Taylor than Manuel Margot. But also we thought Manuel Margot would be a nice addition last year, and he came in and he didn't play a lick of center field until it was borderline emergency, and he didn't really steal bases, and his hitting wasn't good. Sometimes you just don't know until the guy gets in your building and you see him and you're we cannot put this guy in center field at all. I think Harrison Bader's a better bet than Margot to play more center field. But anyway, basically, high-end Michael A. Taylor, low-end Manuel Margot. He profiles closer to Michael A. Taylor. And I think overall, this is the third year in a row the Twins have prioritized, at least gotten a guy specifically to fill a Byron Buxton replacement if needed guy on their roster, because Austin Martin's not there. He's not a big league center fielder. Michael Hellman, Deshaun Kersey, Willie Castro, those guys can all play in a pinch, but if Buxton's out a month, if he has to go on the 60-day IL, you're host if you have to play one of those guys. Bader at least can mitigate that risk. As a hitter, league average, below league average for center fielders. He's around, for what you expect offensively out of a center fielder, he is kind of at that level, but he's not going to wow you offensively, but he does play really good defense, and I think that helps.
So, we use Michael A. Taylor as obviously the prime example of this, but I think it's probably fair to point out that Michael Taylor never did, nor will he ever do again what he did with the Twins that year.
Right.
What the Twins got out of Michael A. Taylor was more than they needed out of him. It was just like a blessing for the Twins that season.
Not more than that contract was valued at. Yeah.
The Twins don't need that. It's obviously a huge perk if they get it. They don't need it. They just need, like you said, he's going to be. Michael A. Taylor had a career year, and he still didn't move beyond the 9 slot in the batting order. That's what this guy is. Every team needs a 9 hitter. So my question for you, you brought this up a little bit, and maybe this is a deeper conversation for another time, but gut level, what you know, whatever. Who's the better outfielder between Wallner and Larnach? And isn't one of those guys, like, they're not both in the corners, are they? Isn't Wallner like your everyday right fielder and Larnach your DH? Like, isn't that kind of how this is going to work itself out? Or are both of those guys really your corner outfielders?
Well, I think right now, this is the other thing about the Twins and what Rocco Baldelli likes to do. I mean, they like to move guys around, and there's a little bit of flexibility. And so, like, on paper, if you're going by offensively, Larnach is your left fielder and Wallner is your right fielder because Wallner's got a cannon. And that's kind of how they would profile. Willie Castro gets in some mix. Obviously, whether it's a lefty or a righty on the mound, definitely has a lot of play into who's on the field. But I think right now, Emmanuel Rodriguez is a Twins top prospect, and there's a good chance that he could crack the big league roster by like the All-Star break. So that's a little bit of, is Larnach kind of a placeholder until he shows up? But yeah, I mean, I think you're rolling with that way. Wallner, they both don't have a ton of range for Larnach and Wallner, but Wallner makes up for it by just having a hose for an arm. So, like, if you saw it early in his career in 2023, the Blue Jays tried to run on him a couple times. He threw a couple runners out, and nobody for the rest of the year tried to take an extra base on Wallner.
And they play with Buxton.
Right. That helps out.
Now is becoming more and more aged, more so because of how injured he's been, less so than his actual age.
But he still has better than average speed.
Yeah. And this is corner outfielders have, like, NFL running backs who are fast have not normal human speed, right? Corner outfielders in Major League Baseball are like, people who are as fast as corner outfielders. Josh Willingham ain't scooting around anywhere.
James Kubel, Michael Kadire.
Wasn't Wallner. No, they're certainly faster than I am. But like, I know people who are as fast as Trevor Larnach. It's not their
sprint speed, by the way, is like the 22nd percentile, which is not good.
Yeah, it's not that. He probably has a good first step and all that stuff. But you don't need to be superhuman fast to play a corner outfield spot. That's just not how it works. And I think a lot of people think you need to be a speedster to play in the outfield.
You need to be a speedster to be in center field.
You need to be a speedster to be in center field and any of the middle infield spots, and that's it. No one else needs to be fast. It's kind of crazy.
And by the way, if Buxton is hurt, then you have Harrison Bader who comes in and he is also fast, or like better, like higher than league average in terms of sprint speed. He's in like the 76th percentile last year, but for the most of his career, he was in like the 95th percentile of speed. So he was quick. And that's going to help things out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The Twins for their outfield spot is very interesting because Buxton is back. Left field was never really solved last year. Larnach kind of filled it, but like injuries and
doesn't that have to be Castro though? He's an all-star.
He's your all-star utility guy, but he's going coming in for like, he's going to get like a starter's amount of at-bats throughout the year, but it's not at one single position. It's kind of picking everywhere off all at once.
So, okay, so what's the outfield then? Tell me what the outfield is. Between Buxton, Larnach, Wallner, Castro, and now Bader, what will be considered the starting outfield, and which one of those guys is the DH?
Well, the DH will be interesting because the Twins like to use the DH as an open spot. So against a right-handed pitcher, let's say it's opening day, I believe the Twins are in St. Louis. I think it's Sonny Gray versus Pablo Lopez, which will be fun. Sonny Gray on the mound. You have Buxton in center. You have Wallner in right, and then you have Larnach in left field. And, you kind of see where the things shake out from there, because midway through the game, if they go to a lefty, you're going to Castro. That's it depends, obviously, because third base.
You're not going to have your all-star in your opening day lineup?
Maybe not. I don't know. It kind of I don't think Castro being like an opening day penciled in starter is as a sure thing, mainly because of how he played in the second half, but also just because of how the Twins theoretically like to use him. I mean, there is a chance that he is like the left fielder. But by the way, it looks like there was a piece in The Athletic today that talked about the Twins looking for a backup shortstop. That's kind of the next thing of just like finding, the Paul DeYoungs, the somebody else who can just be that guy's job. Like Willie Castro essentially kind of moves to backup second baseman, backup third baseman, backup corner outfielder, and kind of picks off enough of all of those spots over the course of a year to get a starter's workload of at-bats anyways.
You still haven't answered my question. Who's the starting outfield on opening day and the DH?
The DH. That one will be...
So you think it's Buxton, Wallner, Larnach in the outfield?
I think it could be. Now, if you're in a place like St. Louis, because I think it is in St. Louis, you maybe do roll with a guy like Castro in left field, because that outfield is huge in St. Louis. And
all right, pick. Who is it? Let's do it right now.
Hold on. I got to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. I'm pulling.
You're not. Those are the names. Those are the 5 names. Pick between those 5 names.
So if I were to, if you're going to go that way, then yeah, you probably have Larnach as your DH, and then you put Castro in left field.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
That's probably the way it shakes out.
Like that more than the other way. It seems weird to have a year that Willie Castro had and have him not be a starter.
Yeah. It's the joy of being the super utility guy. You're never quite a starter in something, but you're backing everything up. So by the end of the year, you've played in 120 games.
That's right. And he's going to be the starting second baseman by the time the year is over. He could
be the starting second baseman on opening day. That's not out of the realm of possibility either. Brooks Lee could start the year in AAA. Julian could start the year in AAA. Miranda could be the team's first baseman, which means that Lewis is the team's third baseman. Correa at short. There is a chance Willie Castro is the team's opeing day second baseman.
There's so many Twins conversations I want to have before this season starts, but isn't Royce the second baseman?
Royce is being prepped for second base. Basically, so last year when Royce was kind of like, hey man, can you play second base? He's like, sure, but I've kind of feel like I'm getting jerked around a little bit here. And then so those talks kind of died away. Whereas now they're like, okay, man, you're going to practice at second base over the offseason. That way, if we need you to play second, you're going to do that. It seemed like it was pointing towards Royce going to second base as the season ended last year. But then at Twins Fest, the reporters kind of talking with Rocco and talking with Falvey and some of the front office guys makes it sound like they're still going to go forward with this year. Coming into the year, Royce Lewis is going to be the third baseman. And maybe that's a Brooks Lee needs to prove he can hit a little bit more at the big league level and stay healthy. And once Brooks Lee proves he can do that, he'll go to third, and then Lewis will go to second and whatever. But the plan on opening day never ends up being the plan throughout the season anyway.
No, I understand. It's just it's very weird that we've been hearing about right. Royce being the second baseman, and then to have them walk it back like, oh no, we just want him to feel comfortable playing there. Shut up.
Right.
Someone's not telling the truth.
And maybe it's a Royce or Scott Boris's agent going, hey man, let's push it. Can we just give him one more crack at third base before you move him over to second?
Well, that's very stupid. He does not need an entire offseason and spring training to prepare to play second base. That dude is elite.
Mm-hmm.
He can play second base tomorrow.
And now there will be no excuses when Rocco wants to pencil his name in the lineup on
Correct.
May 3rd. So that's pretty much what it's hedging against.
More conversations for another day. Once we get into some spring training and see how things work out a little bit.
Pitchers and catchers report, Corey, 1 week from today.
Yep, I'm ready. I mean, I'm not. I don't care. I'm feeling fairly apathetic, to be perfectly frank. But it will be once it happens. I'll feel good about it.
Mm-hmm. This has been the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade on a Thursday, the 6th of February. See you tomorrow.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.